that, we will call the February 27th, 2023 City of Geneva Council meeting session. Phyllis, when you're ready, we have a roll call, please.
Barbeau.
Here.
Roseborough.
Here.
Bear.
Here.
Griffiths.
Here.
Patera.
Here.
Baker.
Present.
Cordova.
Here. And let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our prayer, please.
Heavenly Father, grant that the hearts and minds of all who represent us this evening may be filled with all that is honest and righteous. May they be worthy stewards of your good and perfect gifts and work for the good well. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Brings us to the approval of the minutes from the February 13th council meeting. Are there any corrections anyone has for the minutes, or if not, could I have a motion to approve those? So moved. Second. Jeff with the first, Jim with the second. Roll call, please.
Roseborough.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Griffiths.
Yes.
Patera.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Cordova.
Yes.
Barbeau.
Yes. That brings us to this evening's presentation. Our finance department, Tracy Welch, presenting. Take it away.
Hello. I'm very happy to be back here serving the city of Geneva as their finance director again. Since my return last week, I've been reacclimating myself to current procedures. I certified the year-end 2022 figures to the county, and I am in the process currently of preparing the ACA report, which is due by March 31st to the IRS. Certifying the year-end figures gave me an opportunity to see how the city of Geneva finished up 2022 compared to what was estimated during the budget preparation. Overall, the city finished 2022 with a carryover that was $380,635, less than what was projected. My preference is, of course, to end the year with better than expected when you budget. So hopefully next year we'll show that as well. We'll show just that. Let's see. This Friday, the city manager and I will be meeting with Chuni and Panichi to discuss the 2022 audit and gap conversion. The city financial reporting is due to the state of Ohio by May 31st, and the auditor's report is due by June 30th. Preparing what is needed for CNP to meet these deadlines is on the top of my priority list, and is always at this time every year going forward. Lastly, I will have an appropriation ordinance for the next council meeting, which will request some items that were missed during budget preparation, as well as the reappropriation of donations that you're all expecting to see. And for now, I mean, unfortunately, that's all I have for you, unless someone has questions for me, but that's what I could do in 1 week.
Sounds like a lot. Yeah. Thank you, Tracy, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for
Mr. President? And I know my report's coming up, but I know it was a little unusual that we didn't have the opportunity to introduce Tracy back. But it just so happened that before she actually made her presentation. So, but again, and I'll get into that in a second. But again, it's just that obviously we're thrilled to have her back. And again, I'm sorry that we weren't able to actually do the reintroduction before you made your presentation. But we appreciate the report. And yeah, anybody has any questions, please go for it.
No, I'm just happy you hit the ground running.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what you hired me for.
Right, well, that brings us to the first citizens portion of the agenda. Is there any citizens wishing to address council at this time? Seeing none, that moves us to the city manager's report. Mr. Barquette, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President. So again, I'm going to start this evening with a welcome to some of our new personnel. And as you just heard from Tracy, and as I indicated, and I know some of you have worked with Tracy previously, but we're thrilled to have Tracy back here in the city of Geneva. And Mr. Baker, you're right. She did, spend the last week hitting the ground running. And there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to do. And again, we feel great to have Tracy on board. Previously, she just recently came from the city of Ashtabula, where she spent just over 4 years. But ultimately, and altogether, she has just over 25 years' experience in municipal finance. So, again, very happy to have her on board with us. Also, I'd like to take this time to introduce Ella Stanton, who is with us tonight. Ella also is now, she's our new administrative assistant and HR representative. Ella comes to us with a significant amount of municipal experience as well. She recently, most recently, left the position as finance director, but also as tax administrator, benefits manager, and clerk of council, and she also has experience with utility billing and employee onboarding. So we're thrilled to have her. Some of the areas in which, as Ella gets acclimated with the position also is we're looking at having her in certain backup positions as well. And as some of you might know, Phyllis has never had a backup. If something comes up in Phyllis's life, Ella would, who has that experience as a clerk of council, would be able to step in. Also, potentially looking at, how she could back up in utility billing. And that's another area that hasn't previously had backup. So we're excited about that, but we're not going to throw all the other, the administrative stuff on her right away. But she's doing a great job getting acclimated, and we're thrilled to have her. And again, we're thrilled to have both Tracy and Ella with our team. Welcome. Yes. So Tracy did touch on, as I had the next item on my report is the auditor engagement for the year-end 2022 services, and as she pointed out, we are going to be meeting with C&P, June and PNG to talk about the gap conversion as well as the audit services. So gap, again, we'll engage, we'll have those discussions, and it's our intent to to present resolutions at the next meeting as we move forward with both those services. The appointment to the Ashtabula County Community Action Agency Board. As manager, I am, and council has appointed me as the duly appointed board member to the board. Well, by tradition, the manager also makes an appointment to have somebody represent the city on behalf of the manager and be a representative on the board. And I would, and I am making the appointment of Ella Stanton to be that appointment. So we'll be reaching out to the board and let them know that Ella will be our new appointment that represents the city of Geneva going forward. Some updates: West Main Street infrastructure project. 2 points here of note. I did include an updated schedule, and what you'll see on that schedule is that the advertisement has already been out twice. We have one more advertisement for the project this coming Friday. A week from this Friday, on March 10th at noon, will be bid open. So, fingers crossed. We hope, we're anticipating that we're going to have better success than we did, the previous couple times. But as we all discussed here, we made some adjustments, and fingers crossed, we'll get some bids and some competitive bids so we can get this project moving forward. Also, I want to point out that under state transportation budget amendments for funding, I've been working with our state representative, Fowler Arthur, on seeking additional funding for the project. And as such, Fowler Representative Paul Arthur has submitted on our behalf a request through the state transportation budget amendments to secure an additional $500,000 for the project. And as you can imagine, any additional money that we're able to bring in on this project will be able to reduce our debt financing, which would be significant. And specifically, and as you know, our WPCLF loan, was, it had exceeded $4 million on this project. So if we're successful in securing these additional dollars, that would enable us to reduce our debt financing, which would be significant. I don't think it's going to take a long time for us to find out. We're hoping that we'll find out something soon. I understand hearings have already begun. So in Columbus, so on this portion of the budget. So again, hopefully we'll have news on that, and I look forward to passing that information on. Also in the area of funding, and this falls under the area of unfortunately, but through the Ohio Coastal Management Assistance Grant, our CMAG application, we unfortunately were not chosen for funding. And of course, we've been seeking funding to enable us to prepare our comprehensive plan for stormwater management, and but again, as I stated in my report, that doesn't mean that it diminishes our desire. We're going to continue to seek funding for that.
And Mr. City Manager, what was the cost of that project again?
We estimate around $50,000, so we're only seeking $25,000, but
Again, I think with this news to me, again, I think it's something we consider doing with those ARPA funds again. Because this comprehensive study, just about every meeting we have citizens coming here talking about flooding issues and stormwater. This study gives us that roadmap, and then we can, do that and then leverage our time and effort to other grants and know that we, instead of spinning our wheels trying to get this one again for a third year or fourth year, invest in it, and it's a long-term investment to me. So, just my 2 cents.
And there's a lot of sense in that. We have to find a way to get this comprehensive study completed. So I am going to be compiling more on that, and there were some other sources that we were looking at. But again, knowing that, again, we've been holding off on our ARPA funds for the West Main project. We reduced the project, as you know, the estimated cost of the project is around $6 million. So we believe that eliminated the gap in our financing for that, which would free up those ARPA dollars, which we're holding to fill that gap. So we're getting very close. By fingers crossed, March 10th, we'll have a much better understanding of where that's at. And again, I don't disagree with Mr. Griffiths at all. We do have to find a way to get that comprehensive plan done. And I do believe we have options. So unfortunately, the Ohio Coastal Management grant isn't going to be it, but we'll find a way to get that done. And also on the agenda for tonight is a resolution. So what this is about, and it's tied to the FY 2024-2025 state operating budget, and the resolution is really about trying to restore the local government funds before they were cut back in, I want to say 2011, 2008. Okay. So back when the state was experiencing significant financial strain, they cut the local government funds. It's based on a percent of the state general, basically the state general fund, if you will. And it was reduced to 1.66%, and that was down from 3.68%. So the purpose of the resolution is really to show support, which we want to submit to our legislators, both our state representative and state senator, that we've got to get this number back up. We understand that the governor in this budget, which I believe in the House is HB 33, we want to show our representatives that it's important to get those local government funds back up to where they were before that cut back over in 2008. Any increase in this cut was over half. That just means more money to us for operations. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'm hoping a lot of other communities like Geneva, reach out and also, pass a resolution, showing our state legislators that what they need to do. The governor's proposing a slight increase. We want an increase all the way back to where it was before it was cut. So that's what we're asking, and that's the purpose of the resolution. And ultimately, should that happen, that's just additional operating dollars that we get back in the city, because LGF, local government funds, again, that's money that comes back to local communities.
My understanding is that there are some proposals as well that are looking to fund certain things with cuts, further cuts in local government funds. Now, that's which would stress the importance of this even more so, that we want to state as a community that those funds are vital.
Yeah. They're definitely, and several times, we've discussed here, at council that, the city is just way too dependent on income tax, and over the years, these other funding sources that trickle in from the state and or federal government over the years have declined to the point that a lot of them have ceased to exist. We're very fortunate that we have a very efficient tax department that does a great job of going out and collecting our income tax, but anytime we can find other sources of revenue, and this is just, this is low-hanging fruit, so to speak, and it's really just basically us reaching out to our state legislators saying, please, seek the full recovery, the full restoration of the local government fund to the percent of where it was before it was reduced. Yes.
Just for reference, Mr. Burkett, how much would that be?
That's a great question. Tracy and I are working on that right now, and unfortunately, that there's a significant amount of information that we still need to get our hands on, but we will be able to, give you an idea of that.
Yeah, that money, but not just for municipality, but the school board, I know they've talked about it. I mean, it's, as of right now, the rainy day fund has almost $3.5 billion in it. I mean,
that's correct. And I think that's, we've never seen that.
I know they have the pie, we could have a few extra crumbs, please, that would be nice.
Well, and further cuts to that fund mean that you're relying more on levies, which nobody wants.
We just can't, I mean, just to fund every single thing locally with levies, or we're talking about getting loans to replace the sewer line. I mean, it's, I appreciate that we're able to be fiscally responsible and have efficiency here, and I appreciate that we don't have exorbitant state tax rates either. There has to be a balance. I understand it. I think it's very appropriate to ask for that restoration. I appreciate you putting that together.
And it's my understanding that this resolution, the whole purpose of doing this resolution is so that it's not just Geneva's doing it, but this county or this city and that city, and there's strength in numbers in showing that it's not just one or two.
That's correct. We want communities across the state of Ohio to be passing this type of resolution and presenting to their state legislatures. So when they're working on the budget, providing their input on this budget, that they as well are striving and working towards putting that LGF percent back to where it was before it was cut. And it's, again, to your point, yes, it's strength in numbers.
That concludes your report. Perfect. All right, that brings us to items for consideration of council. First item we have is ordinance number 3323, an ordinance amending chapter 266, Civil Service Commission, section 266.03, section F of the Geneva Codified Ordinances, and declaring an emergency. This is a third reading today. We already had 2 readings on this. Can I entertain the motion to pass it as an emergency, or is there any discussion?
Yeah, it's one thing, I know, Chief, I appreciate all the input you've provided and the different safety meetings. I don't love the just less than a year timeline. I mean, I'll support it certainly. I don't think there's any real data per se that says that's good or bad. I think any of the comments discussed in the safety meetings were hypothetical about how that could be a benefit. I think you could also be hypothetical about how it could be negative. So I think as long as when we do this type of thing to to broaden the gap in terms of someone having been an officer, because to me, we're having that 2-year of continuous service, and then you can almost not be in service for a year. I think as long as we're conscious or we're writing explicitly some of those standards that we have about what we will accept or not accept, I think that is just as important to providing openness to this access to potentially more candidates is balancing that with explicitly stating what our standard of excellence is here. And I think that's equally important to me, and I hope that we can think through, that is also a secondary step, right, is we're explicitly saying lessening this so that we can get more people in that pipeline. Let's explicitly say what is our standard or what we will not allow, what we won't accept, just as a safeguard as well, but it's my 2 cents.
Point taken.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Can I entertain a motion to
So moved. Second.
roll call on the, wait, hang on, make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah. Motion to pass it as an emergency. We don't need to wait for 3 readings or what we normally do because this is the 3rd reading.
Right.
Okay, so roll call on the emergency.
Patera,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Lavelle,
Yes.
Rosebrough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Clinton,
Yes.
And then a roll call on the passage, please.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Barbeau,
Yes.
Rosebrough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Patera.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Okay, next item is ordinance number 3327, an ordinance authorizing additional compensation to the Director of Finance and declaring an emergency. We had this discussion at the last meeting.
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
This was a recommendation made by the fire chief, and it's.
You read something that
Yeah.
you read
This one.
You missed speak. You missed
Oh, I'm just going in the order of my file here. Hang on.
The fire code version.
Yeah, I'm going off these. The agenda.
My apologies. Hang on. I don't have 3326 in my. Showing papers, they just stick together here. Hey, there it is. Paper clips, we have the most best paper clips here. There we go, that's better. Okay. Ordinance number 3326. An ordinance to amend the language of section 1610.01 of the Geneva City Fire Prevention Code. So this is non-emergency, just first reading this evening. Have any discussion on this item?
If I could just add, Mr. President, if I could just add, and it's simply a recommendation on behalf of our fire chief. It's really just eliminated, under the current code, it specifies language from 2005, and my understanding, based on a discussion with the chief, is the language from that year was much more restrictive than what it needs to be. And by removing that, it's just updating. It's updating to the most
Modernizing
current,
the language.
to the most current language. Is all it's doing. Yes.
Very good.
It's compliant with the state.
Okay. This will be a first reading this evening. Next up is number 3327. Ordinance number 3327, an ordinance authorizing additional compensation for the Director of Finance, declaring an emergency. I have a motion to waive the rule of 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call on the waiver.
Patera,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Barbeau,
Yes.
Rosebrough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
And a roll call on the, to make it an emergency.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Barbeau,
Yes.
Rosebrough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Patera.
Yes. And a roll call on passage.
Cordova,
Yes.
Barbo,
Yes.
Roseboro,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Next up is resolution number 3569, strongly urging the Ohio governor and members of the Ohio General Assembly to restore the local government fund to pre-recession levels. And this was the last item of Mr. Barquette's manager's report. Any other discussion on this, or can I have a motion to waive the three readings rule?
So,
Second.
Roll call on the waiver.
Barbo,
Yes.
Roseboro,
yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
And I have a motion to declare it an emergency.
So move. Was it rescinded as an
No.
I don't think it was presented as an emergency.
Okay, would we like to make it an emergency so that it takes
You
effect?
certainly can, you just have to amend something.
Okay. Yeah, because I'd like to get this.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that make it warrants
Yeah.
Make emergency.
instead of waiting, get three meetings plus 30 days, so. Yeah, can someone make that motion to so move declare an emergency?
Move.
Barbo,
Second.
Cordova.
Roseboro,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Barbo,
Yes.
And then a roll call on passage, please.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Barbo,
Yes.
Roseboro.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. And resolution number 3570, resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for safe routes to school funding and declaring an emergency. I know we've had a lot of discussion about this. Is there any further discussion to have or any points to make?
Yeah, just to say that non-infrastructure grant, the Geneva Township's also applying for an infrastructure grant, so those are separate. This is going to, like rodeo or maintenance classes, kind of, and we're also looking at supporting Safety Town, and been talking with Dispatcher Marquette on some of the funds, so that's why we have an increase of the funds to $8,000 from the one that was included in your packet, $4,500, is just to include additional supplies for Safety Town. Additionally, part of what we're funding is a training by the League of American Bicyclists to have leagues, to get 2 people trained as lead cycling instructors. And there's no one in Asheville or Lake County who's trained as that. And so having that technical training will allow us to really have the expertise with a local citizen or city staff and citizen to, effectively operate a standard of bike safety classes. And having that training, I think, impacts the community for the long term.
Awesome. Can I have a motion to waive the 3 readings?
Oh, one note.
Yeah, they'll just be, the STRS funds should be SRTS. Safe routes.
Kind of bounces back and forth.
Oh, I see, yeah. Yes, we'll make sure it all says SRTS. We'll scratch STRS, which is my school pension.
Yeah, it's also in section 2.
Yeah, okay.
Section 1 is correct.
Good catch. So with those corrections made, could I have a motion to waive the 3 readings rule?
So move. I'll second.
Okay.
Aaron Baker.
Aaron Baker. Roll call on the waiver.
Cordova,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Barbo,
Yes.
Roseboro,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
I have a motion to declare it an emergency.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Tara,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Barbo,
Yes.
Roseboro,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova.
Yes.
And a roll call on passage, please.
Griffin,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Barlow,
Yes.
Roseborough,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Patera.
Yes. That's all the items. Thanks, everyone. That brings us to unfinished business. Does anyone have any unfinished business to finish at a council meeting? Anyone have any new business to bring before council?
I do.
Go for it.
We have a plaque commemorating Orioles, and it's at the old Napa. And I,
An historical site.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I believe that it was probably purchased by Mr. Schlesinger, because he used to own the Napa building. But I think that plaque would serve better someplace else. So I think I'm gonna try and get hold of the owner of the building and see if possibly he would let us get ownership of that, so we could find a nice place to put it. Okay. So,
Falling over any, yeah.
pardon me?
It's falling over.
Yeah.
Wasn't that building
there? I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Wasn't,
That's where, that's what I thought.
that's where he lived, right? Was in that building that later became Napa?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, and
But that's why, I think that's why it was there, but, yeah, I don't know.
Is that through like the State Historical Society or anything, the sign? Like, do we have to have it in that location?
I think it's something that we put up by Geneva City.
Oh,
So,
That's
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, he was inquiring.
I think it's still yeah, maybe. I'm just gonna, try if I can, see if I can get it relocated.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we'll talk about a location.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's perfect, that's it, yeah, because, right, it's unsightly, it's disrespectful of the condition that it's in right now.
Right, I agree.
And, yes, possibly entering the city or something to that effect, but yeah, I'd love to have you pick up on that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have one on 534 saying birthplace of Orioles.
Awesome. Any other new business to?
but I don't know if this is the new or the old, but the email that was sent by Mr. Kyrlever about the Warner building, that was sent today, did folks get that?
I came right from one of the years, so I didn't.
It was just requesting some changes to the agreement, or?
I'd rather you discuss that.
Okay.
And then one last thing, the marquee, the digital marquee up by 84 and 534, it's been down for a little while.
Oh, you mean the electric sign?
Yeah.
The sign. You want to, or want me to?
Go ahead.
Well, there's some success here. Actually, there's some good news around that. So the questions regarding the electronic sign over at 84 and 534. So the CIC has been in discussions about that, and we actually submitted a grant request to the Asheville Foundation. And well, before I say that, I'll say we got an estimate on what it would cost to replace it, and because it doesn't work, and it's not worth trying to fix. So what we're trying to do is raise money to be able to replace the sign. We got an estimate in the low $20,000 range, which we believe is a pretty good estimate. And we were just recently, the CIC was just recently awarded a grant of $5,000 to go towards the replacement of that sign. And again, that was through the CIC. So we still have a ways to go, but the plan is to try to come up with additional sources of money to replace.
Thank you. Awesome.
Going to be the same size? Or
Well, most likely because
Probably,
it's to fit the format that's there, yes. In fact, that's the size that we got the quote on that we're working on. That's it.
Excellent. Any other new business? That brings us to the payment of the bills. Does anyone have any questions or comments on bills? Seeing none, that brings us to committee reports. Are there any committees that have a report?
Yeah, so the Service Committee met with members of the community to discuss the
The Service Committee formally meets.
I guess you're right, we did, because we were missing a member, yeah.
Well, because we didn't publicize
Right,
the meeting.
so we didn't publicize it, yeah. We will be meeting after this, though, to discuss the proposed Puerto Rican festival for the area.
And that's directly after the meeting, the service
Correct.
committee meeting, right after tonight's regular meeting.
I didn't mean to interrupt you after you.
No,
you update on what-
well, we just, I mean, we discussed some of the items that we'd like to see at it, and we're moving forward, talking to people in the town who have done things like the Winterfest and the Great Jamboree, and talking to them to find out what this will entail. We've come up with a proposed date for it, and we're trying to move forward as best we can to see something happen this year. And it would be the third weekend in July, right? It's always the third weekend in July. So,
Excellent. Any other committees to report? That brings us to the second citizens portion. Any citizens wishing to address council at this time? Seeing none, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned, and then, Mr. Baker, when you're ready, if you want to take a intermission or whatnot.